What's up, college baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of the 11.7 podcast. Whole crew is here. We're going to discuss mid-major top 25 at the end of the episode. Before all of that, we are going to finish what we started last week, and that is just reviewing what Vegas and the bookmakers think are going to be the teams to beat in each conference. We're going to look through odds to win 10 different conferences today. So we have the ASUN, the Big East, the Big South, Ivy League, Missouri Valley, Ohio Valley, SEC, SunBelt, West Coast Conference, and the WAC. So we'll go over those 10 conferences, look at who the favorites are, look who are some underdogs, and discuss some of our thoughts there. And I'm sure we're going to mention some things about the mid-major top 25, but or at least during that segment. But I promise we will dive deep into the always, I would say, disputed, or I don't know the right word here, but people tend to either love our top 25 or hate our top 25 based off of who their favorite team is.
There's only
So
two
we hear
people.
you. We hear you, Southern Miss fans. We hear you, East Carolina fans. We have been so high on you guys for the last 7 seasons. This season, we're still high on you, but just you don't see your name number 1, 2, or 3. You're down like 8 and 10. But we'll discuss it. We'll tell you our thought process behind it, and hopefully it'll make a little bit of sense to you. Before all of that, let's give a shout out to our premier sponsor here, Home Field Apparel. I think our promo code still works. It probably is going to change. I don't know if the 15% off works or not. That's on the YouTube screen. But go at least check out their stuff until we have a new promo code. They've been great. Josh, the guy that is our connection there, he's the best. And he has high hopes for us this year. We signed a bigger and better partnership with them. And they gave us a sneak peek of a lot of the cool college baseball stuff they're dropping, I believe, in April. So you guys be on the lookout, but they still have tons of college baseball gear from last season that they're looking to sell. And then they have also just really cool teams. Like I was looking at it, they have the Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. They got so homefieldapparel.com. Check out their site. They're great to us, and we would love your guys' support with them as well as us. So, anyways, we got the whole crew here. Dimitri's back. Ticonderoga Man is back. Jack DeLongshaw. And I think last episode we did a good job of, I don't know, like we took off the training wheels a little bit. Episode 2, we let it loose, right? Like we had some arguments, we had some debates, and credit to our fans who actually did the research for us for some topics like who operates at a loss, like what college baseball teams turn a profit, which major league teams offer, or in what's the word I'm looking for? Operate at a loss. So it was good. We appreciate all the feedback. You guys are the best. Dimitri, you got your hand up. What's up?
Two things. I'm working on not interrupting so much. All right. That is my goal for 2025. I'm going to be very polite, calm, and respectful of everybody else's opinion. And
I've been trying to get you to do that for 6 years now.
You know what? I keep seeing the comments. I keep seeing people say, Dimitri needs to shut the fuck up. Dimitri needs to wait his turn. I get it. I'm a passionate person. I get carried away sometimes. So this is me trying to grow in 2025. January of 2025 was like just whatever. February and on, I'm going to work on being a better person, more communicative, more reciprocating, receiving of you guys' thoughts and opinions. I'm going to respect them more. But when
God never changed.
All the people said I'm a fucking idiot for saying MLB teams operate as a loss, I was right. I was correct, and I will stand on that. But I am working on being more patient and understanding.
Cool.
I loved it. Hey man, in honor of being a hand up pod, of being very transparent, I'm glad that we were able to get this out of the way. Hey, I was wrong. I'm an over the top individual. I've been known to exaggerate a few things a time or two. I still stand on that it is more than the number that it was 5 years ago, but 40 to 50 teams operating at a profit maybe was a little overzealous. I still stand 10 toes down on at least 20 plus teams. But we did hear some great feedback to Ben's point, man. It's always really humbling. not from an egotistical pat on the back standpoint, but like to know that not only are people listening, but they're engaging with it. Like they're having fun with the arguments and the conversations, and they're listening to the full end. So I can't tell you how appreciative I am of them. And you, Rizcon. I'm ready to go to battle with you daily because I know that neither of us take it personally. And it's a beautiful thing. Dialogue. We've lost the ability to do so in our country today, but not you and I. The needle Ben Upton is the ultimate mediator, and I'm ready to go to battle when you are, good sir.
I love it. Good deal, everybody. So let's just dive right into this. Let me share my screen. We're going to knock out these 10 conferences that we need to review. If you missed last episode, towards the end, we did the American Conference, we did the ACC, we did the Big 10, the Big 12, the Big West, and the CAA. And Bet Rivers actually added a few more conferences. So that's huge for us. The good news is that we have 10 to do today. And the bad news is Bet Rivers does not sponsor us. In fact, we've never talked to them. They're just the only one that I could find that had conference previews. And again, we're not actually, like Dimitri and myself and Jack are not physically or emotionally putting money of any kind on these bets. We're using it as a reference to see what the bookmakers have the odds at, and like where we might see value in some underdogs. Like that's all. And then at the very end, they do also have the Golden Spikes Award watch list, which is about 100 names. So we'll go through some that we like. And again, not making official picks. We just want to review the stuff and take a look at it because we know that there's a lot of people interested in this realm of the world.
Wait, are we doing our state draft today?
No, not today. Our Golden Spike Snake Draft will be next Sunday. So a week from today.
Like it.
All right, here we go. So we did American, we did ACC. Let's go ASUN here. And no better conference to start with Jack rocking the alternate gray Austin Peay Lyle Miller green jersey he's got on right now. Jack, lead us off. This is your conference. I know who you're going to say has great value at plus 300, but take a look here. Tell us what you like and what you don't like.
Go ahead, Rizcon. What you got?
Did you just give the ASUN to Jack?
Yeah, you're damn right he did.
Oh, you played in the ASUN. I forgot.
3 years, ASUN, baby.
I'm sorry. Are you wearing your jersey from the ASUN playing days? I didn't think so.
I've got blood, sweat, and tears in the ASUN.
No. Cares.
Bro, that shit was like 10 years ago. Hey, it's all right. It's actually 13 years ago. Wow.
You're old, dude.
Old as fuck.
Freak. I'll let you. Hey, I'll defer. I'll play point guard. Start us off, Rizcon.
No. It's your conference.
Oh my gosh! Somebody make a move here, else I
Plus 300, the investment of the century. They say, "Oh, you're too biased. Oh, you've only went and visited one team." Yep, that's actually all true. I will say this though, this is a team that has brought a ton back. On the offensive side, the infield will be completely brand new. I say they bring a ton back in the perspective of leadership and that captain panel that they put together. I think I'm really excited about. When you look at the infield, you're looking at not just Power 4 transfers, you're looking at just SEC, ACC transfers in the infield, which is, I can't speak to everyone else in the ASUN. It is a fairly remarkable thing that is becoming more commonplace. But yeah, give me Roland Fanning, boys. And I should have just said it in one word, simply. Bang! Give me the gloves.
Hey, I don't want to spoil our mid-major power ranking poll, but Austin Peay originally was in our poll, and I have a full write-up on it. So I don't want to just press the backspace button and delete it and let it go bad years. So I want to share people what our actual thoughts were on Austin Peay before we move on. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah. And while you're pulling that up, I'll make a statement. There was 4 teams in this conference that we considered for the mid-major top 25, and they were the top 4 teams on that list I just showed you. Obviously, Stetson made the top 25. Austin Peay was fringe. Florida Gulf Coast we considered. Jacksonville we considered, but only Stetson made the top 25. But Austin Peay was originally in.
1 second, boys. I just opened a notepad that had a weird name on it. So anyways, okay.
Come on,
There
you're
you
the
go.
tech guy. You got to have this stuff ready to go.
Okay, so this is what we thought. We are massive fans. This is for the people that are not on YouTube, so you can just kind of hear. We're massive fans of Roland Fanning and the Governors. Ever since the infamous Mountain Dew moment at Liberty, you can say we've been aboard the Gov bus. Austin Peay was off to a hot start in 2024 after sweeping Mississippi State in a 2-game set, and then almost took the series at Auburn before crumbling like a cookie. 2025 could be a much better season, even after losing Mark McGuire. In parentheses, Lyle Miller Green. The Governors returned the second coming of Mark McGuire and John Bay, who I believe was voted to be preseason player of the year in the ASUN. He had 365, 24 bomb. Brady Zacco, hit 320, 15 bomb. Calendar getting out of the portal is impressive, led by Austin Jaslow from Arkansas State. I think he was SEC before that. So this is the issue. This is the reason why Austin Peay did not make our top 25. Their pitching was atrocious last year. I mean, a 7.5 team ERA is so bad, guys. So bad. It doesn't even matter who they lost or who. It doesn't matter anything. Nothing matters. They just need to figure out how to get it down to like a 5 ERA because their offense is going to be there. So I think they can compete with Stetson for a title, but that's literally the reason why they're not in our top 25. They just can't pitch. And Roland Fanning needs to get those boys pitching, and they'll be good.
Can I retort before we move on?
Yeah.
It's the reason I had to wear the jersey. Many know that I allow most of the baseball conversations to be led by Ben and Dimitri, mostly because I don't know as much. But I wore my jersey today out of solidarity because I'll just say it like this, Dimitri. How many press releases have you ever written up for a team to not get in? I rest my case. They're coming. Bang.
They're coming. They're close. Like they are so close. They were in, and then we bumped them out last minute. But I'll tell you this: like it's going to be a fun conference. Let me go back. How do I share my screen again? There we go. Right here. Boom. It's going to be a fun conference. Like Stetson's going to be really good, and I'm saying Stetson possibly could get back to like regional hosting territory. Possibly if they run the table, win 44 games.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They're loaded.
I should probably emphasize this too before we move on. My love for a certain school doesn't remove my inability to take judgment like out. Like I have no distaste towards anybody on this list. I should make that very clear. Just because I love one school, I don't dislove another. I should. So the Hatters that hate me, I completely understand why. I'll come hang out. I'll come see the great state of Florida, make a little road trip.
Yeah. And then like Florida Gulf Coast, they're going to be offensive every year, very similar to Austin. They're going to swing the sticks. Jacksonville, I mean, historically has been always good. And then there's teams like Central Arkansas, Lipscomb, North Florida, Eastern Kentucky. They all they're frisky. They all have Power 4 wins over like the last 5 years since the COVID season. And like they can compete on it every given day. Now, I think that their chances of getting an at-large bid is like almost impossible. They would have to win the tournament, but you never want to see an ASUN team as a 4 seed in your regional. You never do. And they're like that. It's that type of conference where it's just good baseball throughout. And then you have Bellarmine and Queens who are both new to Division I. I think this is their second year at the Division I level, maybe their third. And they're just a tick behind, I think. I could be wrong. They could have brought in a ton from the portal and like they could prove themselves over the first couple weeks and then we would reconsider. But on paper right now, I think this is going to be a Stetson, Austin Peay race with Florida Gulf Coast and Jacksonville right behind them.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I wanted to say is I'm really disappointed in how much the ASUN has fallen off from a full depth perspective. Look at the bottom. Scroll down, Ben, a little bit.
Sorry, I'm pulling it back up.
I'm trying to be nice again. I'm trying to focus on being nice again, and you just move on. Queens, Bellarmine, North Alabama, Eastern Kentucky. Just terrible. Like this is a baseball conference. No, bad. Let's be fair. Be fair. They're not good.
They're not terrible.
This was a strong baseball conference with Kennesaw State, Mercer in there, East Tennessee State. I'm not saying East Tennessee State very good, but like when you replace those 4 teams with the 4 teams I just said, it's like, whoa, this is a really good baseball conference again. It's just disappointing to see the ASUN. It's kind of just a top-heavy conference.
I'll do this.
North Alabama does have one 11.7 award, and that was in 2019. They beat Ole Miss on Kids Day at noon on like a Tuesday, and they beat them and ruined Ole Miss's Kids Day for all those kids in elementary school in Oxford. And we actually banned Ole Miss from our top 25 back then. It was hilarious. So good for the Lions.
I'll put my name on the line for Eastern Kentucky this year. In Richmond, they've got something cooking a little bit, and I do know that a good buddy of mine, JD Davis, just got promoted to their recruiting coordinator. I think they've recruited really well, and they've also benefited from the portal this season too.
Yeah, I think Eastern Kentucky is sneaky good. They're not a bad team. All right, so let's move on here to the next conference winner, which will be the Big East. So not a ton of teams. What is it, 8 teams here? And my favorite conference tournament, I will continue to put that on the record. And UConn's a heavy favorite here, minus 250. UConn's going to be good. And they return a lot from that super regional team last year. And they also, they have a different approach with the portal than most teams. They really focus on, the Division II, the Division III, and junior college route, right? And they're super successful there. But watch out for Xavier. Watch out for St. John's. Xavier's in our mid-major top 25. St. John's missed the cut, but they finished the season last year in the mid-major top 25 and played well in the regional that they were in. So, look, I think I wouldn't touch any of the underdogs with Butler and Villanova. Seton Hall can be frisky. But there's 2 teams here, Creighton and Georgetown, who I think got a lot better from last year. And what Georgetown did, the turnaround that they had from 2 years ago to last year was a big improvement, and they got better again. So, look, Creighton, we know about Creighton. They have usually a pretty solid baseball team, and Georgetown's getting there too. I think they could be frisky.
I think it's UConn or Xavier, and that's it.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said just because I'm addicted to a storyline. In Coach Service's final year as the head coach at Creighton, I know there's been a lot of interviews out that way, trying to generate a little bit of buzz and respect for a guy who without question earns it. But I think they had 4 or 5. I remember seeing preseason Big East selections. I remember the Kyle Hess kid that was really good for them. Ben, I know you called a weekend series for him last year. Yeah, I mean, I think UConn, I think every June we look up and they're winning, not only just but winning regional matchups. So it's I hate to, discount the Huskies, but I think Creighton is a really fun team with a fun storyline heading into Coach Service's last season.
Yeah, and then you have Xavier plus 300. So if you want a team that's going to be battle tested before they even get to Big East play, Xavier, we mentioned their non-conference schedule last week. It's a gauntlet. So these 89 to 91 mile an hour fastballs that they're going to see in Big East play, they're going to look like they're 75 miles an hour after playing the Power 4 schedule that they have pre-conference. So look out for Xavier. All right, let's move to the next one here. We have the Big South, home of Jack. Jack, what do we think about the Big South here?
I think it's another team that may have gotten snubbed out of that top 25. People are sleeping on the Thurs. Don't sleep on the Thurs. If you remember the High Point team that obviously in 11-7 we juiced up big time last year. Joey Hammond. They've gotten Dimitri and I actually saw Derek Orndorff, who's a Liberty legend. The guy's got forearms the size of my thighs. The way that they attack the portal, they're going international in the recruiting pool this time around. Dimitri, I don't know if you remember that combo with him, but to me, High Point, they lost a lot of really veteran pieces in the infield, especially throughout that offense. And Gus Hughes was their Friday guy the last 3 years. So they're going to be different. But I think that they have really learned to play the recruiting game at a totally different level, especially with High Point. They've, from an athletic department standpoint, are throwing gas on the fire. So I think there's a reason that there's a favorite. Obviously, this conference every year is kind of a toss-up, but they've kind of become a runaway favorite, and I think for the right reasons.
Yeah, I've always been an Upstate fan, and if I had to pick a team, I would pick Upstate. Not really much rational reasons or whatever behind it. I just think Upstate had the experience. They've been doing it a long time in this conference, and that's it. I think High Point can be pretty good this year, but I would just roll with Upstate. The rest of them, irrelevant.
So, fun fact about Upstate, I believe they have the youngest head coach in Division I baseball. Kane Sweeney, I actually played against him in the OVC my freshman year, and I think he was a sophomore. So he might just be a year older than me. He was a left-handed hitting first baseman and would just spray the ball all across the ballpark. He probably went 9 for 10 against us the first 2 games we played there at Morehead State. And, with younger head coaches, I kind of like them year one. Like the players are bought in, and like, of course, he's got other CEO stuff to about in the offseason with budgets and this and that. But year one, young head coaches typically do pretty well. I like Upstate. I think Gardner Webb is sneaky good this year too. They returned a bunch. And then going down the list, Winthrop at plus 600. That has my attention. Winthrop has the ability to go recruit pretty well out there in the state of North Carolina, and nice facilities, good area. So we'll see. But
Right.
High Point, I think, returns the most talent, and obviously they were winners there last year. So we'll give the benefit of the doubt to old Joey Hammond over.
I think you got to take High Point here. I'm just looking at Upstate in the portal. They got absolutely wrecked by the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, they had guys leaving to Kansas, Mississippi State, Morehead State, St. Bonaventure, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Winthrop. Like they got destroyed by the portal.
Yeah. And then like Longwood, Radford, UNC Asheville, they're still a couple notches behind.
Let's move on. Let's get out of this conference. What are we doing?
Hey, go Bucks.
All right. We did the Big West last episode. We did the CAA. So we have Conference USA. Love Conference USA. Dallas Baptist, heavy favorites at minus 250. So this is where it gets a little interesting because we have Western Kentucky in the mid-major top 25. I'll let Dimitri talk about Western Kentucky. And they're plus 1,500. Like they have the 6th best odds to win this conference, but they showed a lot that we liked. So maybe Vegas didn't do their homework or their research. Obviously, we have Louisiana Tech, who's always going to be competitive and almost won the regular season title last year. Sam Houston's always good. Liberty lost everybody in the portal, so I don't know why they're plus 1,000. Like their whole team after Scott Jackson took the assistant job at UNC. Kennesaw State's going to always be frisky. They're going to be able to hit.
What do you mean?
But Dimitri,
Kennesaw State first year, Conference USA.
What?
This is their first year in the Kuzo. Yeah. I just realized that I forgot Kennesaw State moved to the Conference USA from the ASUN.
Oh, okay. I was like wondering why I thought you were correcting me on something.
No, I didn't. I totally forgot about that. That's good for them to make that jump up to Conference USA. I'm assuming it's for football, but
you know who else is moving to Conference USA next year? Missouri State and Delaware.
No way.
Yeah.
So spot opens up in the A10. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Guys, I cannot believe they have Western Kentucky at the same odds as Kennesaw behind. Liberty got absolutely thrashed by the portal. Liberty had a lot of work to do.
I like Bradley LaCroix there, though, the VCU guy. Well, it was VCU guy that ended up getting that job. I mean, it might take some time because obviously A10 ball is a little bit different than the Conference USA, but I don't know. They're a weird school with a lot of money that maybe if you utilized it in a unique NIL way, that maybe some of the talent they got on campus, because yes, they did lose I think 25 plus guys, but it could be a weird one. I think that's why they have it plus 1,000, Ben, because it's like a roll of the dice. They don't know what the hell is going to happen.
Do not sleep on Western Kentucky, guys. This team is going to be good. I'm telling you, they're going to be good. And the fact that they have Sam Houston, Liberty, and Kennesaw. All right, let's see if Bet Rivers, I don't know how, but let's see if Bet Rivers change their odds by next Friday after we talk about them.
Maybe they listen to the
pod. Kentucky should be third. They should be third right now where Sam Houston is. I'm telling you, they're going to be a top 3 team in this conference. Dallas Baptist is favored by a long shot. This should be minus 500, to be honest.
Yeah, Dallas Baptist was our number 1 team in the mid-major poll. And Louisiana Tech, we had as one of the first 3 teams out. Like, we debated it. I think I told Dimitri, put them in, and then he called me back and was like, we're actually going to put this team in instead. But, yeah, La Tech, Coach Burrows, like, he does a hell of a job every single year. And sure, they lost a lot of talent, through the draft, and I think maybe a couple guys in the portal. But Louisiana Tech's like almost like they just rebuild every year. It seems like every single year they're just bringing in JUCO guys from Texas or from Louisiana, and then they fill the pieces that they always need. So, like I said, they should have won the conference regular season last year, but I think they slipped down the final weekend maybe. But yeah, in my opinion, it should be Dallas Baptist, one heavy favorite, and then La Tech, Western Kentucky, probably the same odds there. Anybody have any interest in Jacksonville State, Florida International, Middle Tennessee State, or New Mexico State?
FIU only because they're the Thurs are frisky.
Yeah.
And they're Miami. So like, maybe they recruit something cool.
I love Jacksonville State's coaching staff. I think that they're going to build something great there, and their facilities are really nice. Like you can't go to Jacksonville State's facilities and not be impressed. And Dimitri, you know who their pitching coach is?
Jacksonville State?
Yeah.
No.
He was one of our – I think he was a guest in 2021 with us.
Homeboy from Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? From Louisville? He came from like a military school, and then he went to Louisville. He was an animal. He's a gamer. What's his name?
No, he wasn't from a military school. He was in the military. He was a
military. Yeah, he came out of the Army and went back to school and played baseball. What's his name?
Silkwood. I call him Coach Silkwood now. I talk to him all the time at work. I call him Coach Silkwood. What is his first name?
Anthony
Silkwood. I was like, dude, I just call him Coach Silkwood now. But yeah, he's there. Former guy I know from Mercer, Corey Wright is there, and then you know who their head coach is Beezer, who used to be at SEMO. Like he built SEMO into the powerhouse that they were. So yeah, good coaching staff, but I don't think they would win the conference. Like they could get hot into the season and maybe win the tournament, but yeah, like not yet for Jacksonville State.
We don't have to be nice to every school, dude. Come on.
I'm not being nice. I'm just telling the listeners what they want to hear. Here we go. Ivy League. This is actually shocking. I figured it would be Columbia and, well, you know what? It is kind of like it. I was going to say Columbia and Penn are the two best teams in this conference by far. Get used to them in the conference championship game or series that they play. The bad thing about these teams is they lose all of their seniors after their senior year, and they go to play in the SEC. They don't get that fifth-year eligibility in the Ivy League. They have to go. So, but yeah, Columbia, Penn, they're going to dominate. And then it looks like they have Princeton and Yale, then Harvard, Cornell, Dartmouth, and Brown. But this is a two-team race here. If you wanted
just to get frisky and just blind bet this conference, you could chase Harvard at that value. They always will just come out of nowhere every now and then, have a good team and win. But Columbia and Penn.
Yeah, they've been running the conference for a while. Jack, any thoughts here?
No White Hensler, no problem for Penn. I think about plus 300 is a big number. I understand Columbia returned a lot, but I like plus 300 is a pretty good little number.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, that Columbia team that made the regional, maybe, I guess it was 2023, and I picked them to win the regional. They were mostly freshmen and sophomores that year, so I guess they're all seniors now. Anyways, we'll keep up with the Ivy League in May. We'll check back in May. All right, Missouri Valley Conference. Missouri State is the favorite. Okay, so we got our mid-major top 25 right. Because we did have Missouri State in, Illinois State in.
Got it right.
Who?
You said we got it right. I said no, Bet Rivers got it right.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's interesting that they're high on Missouri State and Illinois State too. So they did some research. Like, we're so used to having Indiana State winning this conference, and then before that it was Dallas Baptist before they switched.
Yeah.
It's a pretty competitive conference, like all the way down to Illinois Chicago at plus 800. They were another team we considered for the top mid-major top 25. Indiana State got thrashed again by the transfer portal because Coach Hannes goes down to South Florida, takes the job. All the players from their super regional teams and high RPI teams, they all transferred out. So they're replacing a bunch. Evansville, who made a super regional last year, plus 500. They're listed as 4th best odds. And then good old Murray State, the Racers, plus 400, 3rd best odds.
Yeah, you guys were high on Illinois State. I know they throw the heck out of the baseball every season. So like when you throw it as well as they do, they're going to be in the hunt. But I'm excited to hear you guys explain that during the mid majors.
Yeah. I think Dimitri was probably the highest person on Missouri State. He did research and he was like, oh my God, this team is going to smash the baseball.
I mean, getting Carter Stewart back is huge for this team. He was supposed to be a top 3 round guy last year. Mason had him as like number 20 or number 30 ranked prospect in all college baseball last year, and he's back to school. And they have like 3 guys that combine for 60 plus home runs, and they're all that. When we get to our mid-major rankings, we'll break them down a little bit more. But Ben, Indiana State had guys, they lost in the portal guys to Western Kentucky, South Florida, Texas, St. Louis, Oregon, Murray State, Mississippi State, Miami, Ohio, Milwaukee, LSU, Louisville, Kentucky, Indiana, Clemson.
Holy dude.
All those players went to those schools.
It's a different world.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this. Which of these teams is going to make a super regional this year? Because Indiana State 2 years ago, Evansville last year. Who we got this year?
Illinois State needs to redeem themselves in that 2019 Louisville regional. They had it. But I think Missouri State is a really good team. And don't forget, they hosted a regional 10 years ago, something like that. Late 2010.
Yeah, that was when like Jake Berger was there. It might have been 2014.
Mid.
Freshman.
Yep. Yeah, so Missouri State, Illinois State, I really like them. We'll break them down in the mid-major power rankings. But yeah, it's the 2-team battle here.
Yeah. It's going to be a competitive conference, though. Love the Missouri Valley. All right, let's move to the next one. We have the Ohio Valley, and then I know you SEC fans are waiting. You guys are next. Don't worry. But Ohio Valley, SEMO, only minus 150. Dimitri, thoughts?
Slam that. Slam it with your lifesaver. SEMO is not losing this conference this year. I mean, that should be minus 1,000 minimum. SEMO is so much better than every other school in this conference. It's not even funny. It's not even close.
It really, in my opinion, I think you might be right, because Morehead State was fun last year. They lose their coach. They lose a bunch of guys to the draft and to the portal. Now, Little Rock could be frisky. Little Rock's got conference pitcher of the year.
Yeah.
They've been playing good ball. And then you got Tennessee Tech at plus 1,000. Like, you can never count out Matt Braga and what he does at Tennessee Tech. Like, always just has 1 through 9 guys that mash. Eastern Illinois and down, like I can't see any of them winning the conference, but I think you'll see some surprise teams. Like, rumor has it Lindenwood's going to be pretty good this year, 2nd year or maybe 3rd year in Division I. They brought in a lot of good guys and a coaching staff. So Southern Indiana lost their coach to Indiana State, so I know they replaced a ton. Don't know if they're going to be great this year. And then you got UT Martin, Western Illinois at the bottom. But look, like Dimitri said it, SEMO's ranked, I think, 17th or 18th in our mid-major top 25. They were a win away from going to a super regional last year in that Arkansas regional. They beat Arkansas, and then they also beat, who was the 2 seed there?
They beat.
God, it was one of the craziest
Louisiana Tech. They beat Louisiana Tech, eliminated Arkansas. Then they needed to beat Kansas State twice, which they didn't do. But the only thing is, I can't believe Jackson Wells didn't transfer out of Little Rock, which is pretty cool for him to stay there, because he could have easily went to a bigger school. Friday night guy at Little Rock, so they'll probably get a lot of Friday night wins. But guys, SEMO returns their whole entire weekend rotation. They return everybody. By far the best.
Minus 150 is shocking to see. Like, that is shocking to see. You would think over the course of the season, like they're not gonna lose the regular season, but oh well. All right, now we got the SEC here, and this is going to be fun because honestly, who cares about SEC regular season championships? I really think it's gotten to the point in this conference where teams do not care if they win the regular season or not.
It's just cool.
They're really just building for June. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. There's no reason for us to sit here and try to justify any of these teams. A&M, everybody knows why they're number one. LSU, everybody knows why. Tennessee, defending national champ, they reload. Arkansas, they reload. Florida, I mean, they lose to probably the best player in college baseball the last 10 years or ever in Jack Kay. So I mean, it's like Georgia is. I think Georgia's a good value play here. I just don't know if Georgia can get over the hump and beat A&M and LSU over 30 games.
Yeah. Look, honestly, tell me this isn't like a crazy strategy here, but why don't you just take Georgia all the way down to Vanderbilt? Oops. Like Georgia, Texas, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and like maybe even sprinkle Auburn and Oklahoma. Like and even Ole Miss. Like it wouldn't surprise me if one of those teams won the regular season. I mean, shoot, didn't Kentucky win it last year? Officially?
No, they were close.
It was, I think it was, weren't they co-champions? Tennessee ended up winning the regular season and the SEC tournament, and then obviously the Natty. So like that was like on their rings.
Kentucky had the league with like 3 weekends to go.
Yeah. You could honestly, so there's two different strategies here, and they're probably not gambling strategies. I don't know, but you could honestly take the top 4 teams and hope one of them wins, and then you would profit. Or you could take like Georgia down to Ole Miss, and if one of those, then you would like severely profit. I mean, these odds are kind of insane.
There's going to be a team plus 1,500 down, to your point, that we're looking at the end of the year. That's a top 10 team in the country. You're like, how? And you're like, well, because it's insanely.
Who would have thought 4 years ago Vanderbilt would ever be 20-1 to win the SEC? But we've kind of gotten to that point.
Is that because Tim Corbin is just like the baseball version of Dabo Sweeney, where he just doesn't believe in the portal?
Well,
no, they did the portal.
They did this year.
Yeah.
Oh, they did this year. Let me.
Yeah.
I haven't even.
They got Mancini from James Madison.
Who hit those
his
big
favorite color. What is his favorite color, Jack?
They brought 5.
Green.
His favorite color is green. My favorite color. Man.
Yeah.
Oh, they got Mike Mancini from James Madison.
We just said that.
I know, but I was looking. I wasn't really listening.
Dimitri, what's his favorite color?
Verde.
Yeah. There you go.
Nice try.
Yeah. I think Dimitri, I think that's going to be a really sexy pick, to your point. Like that Georgia at plus 1,200 feels like Charlie Condon helped build the blueprint. And just because he's gone, I think they've been able to build something, and you forget, like, it feels because last year they were so good and Foley's changed a ton. They just renovated, and like Wes Johnson, like, has been there for forever, when in reality it's just his second season, which is insane to think. Trey Phelps feels like a guy that's going to be pretty early, maybe, I don't know, in our snake draft for the Golden Spikes. I know he's high on my list, so that feels like the sexy pick, but it feels like everyone's already on it. The biggest wild card to me, it feels like Mississippi State and Ole Miss. It just feels like one of them has to be better this year, and they're going to be in the hunt. And then the wild card that is South Carolina. Like, what's that going to look like? Ethan Petrie's a potential Golden Spikes guy, but what's it going to look like with Paul Maneri back in a dugout? I don't think anybody really knows, and I don't think we will know until we get to like that 3rd, 4th week of SEC play.
Paul Maneri is just going to be a CEO. His coaching staff is going to do all the labor and all the work. He's just going to be the CEO and just keep everybody in check and stuff like that, and just he's going to be a great mind to pick for the players and the coaches to learn and get better. So I think South Carolina's in good hands. I just think for him to build his program the way he wants, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this is just honestly throwing darts, right? When you look at these odds and you think of the team's head coaches, what each team did in the transfer portal, shoot, all 16 might get into the tournament, and deservedly so. Look, I mean, obviously Michael Early wants to win the SEC regular season. Obviously Jay Johnson wants to win the regular season, but he's probably not as much as he cares about winning in June. Actually, not even close. But like looking down the list here, I think there's a lot of coaches towards the bottom of the list that do whatever it takes to win the SEC regular season versus the top, who they know they have championship caliber teams. They're just gonna coast once they know they're gonna host a regional, and that's all. So anyways, what would you guys pick here? I'd probably throw a dart at maybe Arkansas plus 650. It feels like they're always in the thick of things for regular season. Dave Van Horn,
I like Arkansas.
that's what he does.
Yeah.
I haven't done enough SEC research to really make a pick here, but I think any of those top 6 teams have a shot. Texas even has a shot.
Yeah, Texas has definitely got a shot. It is funny, Ben. I looked at this from like a hypothetical investor standpoint. Like if you laddered it, right? Like if I did the ladder and I put a hypothetical number on the first 5 teams, and then I did a number at like 50% of that on the next 10 teams, there's got to be a way to make money without taking every single one. But gun to my head, I don't know. It feels like LSU's back. Like they really hit their stride at the end of last year. Bear Jones is going to be really. It's insane that nobody like took him early in that draft, and like the fact that he's back in Baton Rouge, and all the guys that ended up foregoing the draft to end up at the box this year. Josh Pearson gets to play with his brother, who's going to be one of the better freshmen in the country. But I mean, I could do this with literally the 10 teams, so I don't really know. Don't take Rocky Top. You're an idiot. Don't take A&M, who 1 through 9 might have 9 guys hit over 330 this year. You're an idiot. Like I just don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, we're making our pick next weekend. We got 7 days to really hone down on this.
We are making our official picks for all 30 conference champions a week from today. So that'll be fun. You'll get our answers then. We're just scavenging right now. So looks like we have like 4 conferences left, if I'm not mistaken. So we have the SunBelt, which we love, and it's going to be hyper competitive. Look, we have Southern Miss as the favorite, which is good for them. And shame on us. We ranked Southern Miss 8, and we got a lot of hate on social media for not ranking them, number 1 in the mid-major poll. There were some question marks for Southern Miss, but they just are there every single year. And it doesn't matter who they lose, who they bring in, they're going to win 40 games every year, and they're going to play really well at home, and they're going to throw the lights out of the ball. So Southern Miss plus 150, I don't see a ton of value there, but the smart play would be to just keep taking Southern Miss every single year. Now, Louisiana Lafayette won the conference last year by 3 games. It was impressive what they did. Troy, a lot of people's number 1 mid-major, I would say. They are our number 3 mid-major in the poll, plus 450. Then you have Coastal plus 700. Georgia Southern plus 900. And then this is kind of where it gets interesting for me. Like Texas State, James Madison, App State, South Alabama, Georgia State, and Old Dominion are huge odds. Like from 1,500 to 2,500. You would be crazy if you didn't think any of those teams could win this conference, because I think they could.
No, dude, stop. No. Texas State lost everybody. All they have coming back is Chase Moore. They lost so much.
No, but you know who they gained?
Yes, sir. In that dugout.
Coach Pierce.
That's a big ad. I think, and it's attractive for a recruit to go, man, like, what does he see happen in Slam Marcus where he wants to go be a part of it? I think that's going to be a way bigger value piece than I think a lot of people give him credit for. And then nothing became more clear that this conference is so loaded than when we went down to Montgomery for the SunBelt tournament last year, Ben, where every single game, I didn't talk about App State once last year, and they were so hyper competitive in that tournament. They were so much fun, and they're at plus 2,000. Coastal in the post-Gilliam era, but Troy at plus 450 feels like, I mean, that's a big number and a big gap between them and Southern Miss.
That's a big number for a team that is getting a lot of preseason hype. Honestly, if this was covered up, like the names on the left side, personally, I would think that Troy would be the plus 150 and Southern Miss would be the 450. But it's backwards. So take that however you want. But look, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the last week of the season. There's probably going to be 3 or 4 teams in the mix to possibly win the regular season, and it's going to be entertaining. So Look, there's a lot of turnaround in these conferences, right? A lot of the best players go and play in the SEC the next year, and they're getting SEC fallbacks, ACC fallbacks, and then top JUCO talent. Like that's who these teams are landing. So from year to year, it's pretty volatile. What is the word I'm looking for?
Volatile.
Is that a word? It's a funny word. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud before.
Volatile is definitely a word, but I don't know if that's the one you were
Volatile
looking
is
for.
the opposite of stability or stable, whatever.
Yeah. The only thing stable is Southern Miss and Louisiana Lafayette and Coastal Carolina. Like they're always going to be.
Georgia Southern could be a good, juicy play because if they hit their full potential, this team is going to be really, really, really good. But here's the problem. They could also be really bad. Georgia Southern has one of the crazier roster turnovers this year. They have a lot of really good players. Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern basically did a 8-player trade. That's basically what happened. They traded 4, they got 4. Like that's exactly what happened. So Georgia Southern could be a really good play here, but that's how gambling is. The coin flip anyways. So you're just getting 9 to 1 odds, which is pretty good.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say about this conference is I hope one of these teams make it to Omaha. Like I don't care if it's Marshall. Like I want a team to get hot. It's been so long since the SunBelt has had an Omaha team. In fact, maybe
Coastal's the
Louisiana
last
in 2000.
No, Coastal's the last one.
That
No,
didn't count.
Coastal
That didn't
was in the
count.
Big South, baby.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah.
you were crapping on the Big South earlier? Hey, nope, no BS. Their last loss Coastal in 2016.
What about 28 Southern Miss? When what's his name?
You're right. 2009 Southern Miss with
2009,
Brian Dozier.
9.
That's crazy.
Well, they might have been Conference USA back then.
Who was their big leaguer on that team? He was hurt in the
Brian Dozier.
Dozier.
Yeah, but Southern Miss, I think, was in Conference USA back then.
You're right, they were. No,
I think it might be Louisiana Lafayette. They might be the last, and that was 25 years ago. Coming out of the SunBelt to make it to Omaha, which is nuts. Anyways, listeners, I want you guys to fact check us there. Find out who the last SunBelt team was to make it to Omaha. And I'll add this point too. It sucks because they usually get sent to SEC regional, so it's hard to get out of those. Anyways, West Coast Conference. This is a little surprising. I thought this number would be a lot more. San Diego minus 200 to win the regular season. Portland coming in behind that at plus 400. St. Mary's plus 600. Loyola Marymount plus 1,000. I think Gonzaga is way too low at plus 1,500. But anyways, like Dimitri, don't you think that San Diego minus 200 is just not big enough?
I think it should be not because of I think they're so good, it's because I think the rest of the conference is not that strong this year. I think San Diego should be minus 500.
Yeah.
They're another really good team this year. I don't think Portland's that great this year. St. Mary, Loyola had our boy Donegal. He'll have that team really good in the next couple of years, but I just don't think they're ready yet.
Agreed. Yeah, well, San Diego is one of the teams I'm pretty high on this year. I think that they schedule great non-conference and they just bring in just such great athletes. They have a bunch of two-way guys that are going to throw and hit for them. And I don't know, they play well. I just think you're right. Like they're head over heels better than everybody else in this conference. And I know that what I just said is going to get clipped when Portland wins the conference or Santa Clara wins the conference. I know it's going to get clipped and they're going to play it, but good. I hope they use it as motivation. All right, let's move on to the last conference we're going to do here. And then we'll do the Golden Spikes after this. So the WAC.
Wait, no, we're doing Golden Spikes next week.
No, but we're going to look at the odds.
Why?
We'll do our draft.
We're going to make our picks and have the odds.
Oh, okay. Never mind. We'll save the Golden Spikes for next week. Anyways, the WAC conference. Grand Canyon minus 177. They come in at number 25 in the mid-major top 25. And then there's 3 teams that we highly considered for the mid-major top 25 right after that. Cal Baptist plus 200. They returned the player of the year in the conference from the year before. Abilene Christian plus 500. And then Tarleton. People forget Tarleton won the conference tournament last year. and they did not get the automatic bid because they were in a Division II to Division I transfer period, and they were not eligible. So Grand Canyon got the gift of going to a regional. But look, Utah Valley, good season last year. I think they finished second, but then they lose Eddie Smith and Daniel Dickinson. Eddie Smith, the head coach, goes to Washington, and Daniel Dickinson is going to be a first rounder out of LSU this year. So I don't know if they can win the conference this year. Sacramento State, Dimitri, you looked them up, right? And like they're going to be pretty competitive, you think?
They're going to be decent.
Yeah. And then UT Arlington, Seattle, and Utah Tech are at the bottom. Look, it wouldn't surprise me if a Cal Baptist or a Tarleton or an Abilene Christian win this conference. I think there's a lot of turnover in Grand Canyon's roster, but when it comes down to it, like the talent is talent, and I think Grand Canyon just gets a tick above everybody else in this conference when it comes to talent.
I have a question. Where did that -177 come from? That's so random.
It's the only thing my brain thought about that entire
I can't get my mind off it. What is that 177?
Dude, Bet Rivers knows something. Every time you lay the juice hypothetically on a weird number like that, you're in big trouble. If I'm Grand Canyon, I see 77. I am petrified that Bet Rivers knows something.
Like, did they set that number, or did their algorithm just change because people are slamming something?
I don't know, but I'm just telling you that if I were every other team in the conference, I would start working out harder. I'd take more swings in the cages because Bet Rivers knows. I'd feel horrible if I was GCU right now.
Yeah. Cal Baptist, yeah, terrible. Cal Baptist is pretty good. Abilene, I think it's just another typical year for Abilene. They can finish fourth or they can finish first or second. It's just Abilene will always be there. They just never have that like hype around them because they just never get over that hump to really.
Abilene is always good for a February midweek win over a Power 4 team.
Yeah.
Like they are so good at beating TCU or Texas Tech or whoever in a midweek. Week 2. Anyways, all right. So that wraps up the conference winners betting segment there.
We doing mid-major now?
Yeah, let's run our mid-major top 25. So I'll let you share your screen. You did about 90% of the work here with the mid-major top 25, but your write-ups were great. And for anybody that wants to read a write-up on any team in the top 25, it's on our website. So Dimitri posts the mid-major power rankings, and there's probably a good 150, 200-word paragraph on each team about who they lost, what they returned, how we think that it, or at least how we see it kind of shaken out. The only thing I'll give us credit, Dimitri, was last year our preseason top 25 was money. Not only did we predict almost to a T Evansville, in the paragraph we were talking about how it's a salty vet team.
Nailed it.
Yeah, but I mean you helped research there. But they were a salty vet team that was going to be a pain when it came to the postseason, and like they could have some magic. Like this would be the year that Evansville would have some magic. Sure enough, they win a regional, go to a super regional, and then like our top 10 was pretty spot on. It ended up finishing pretty close to the top 10. So, anyways, the point is we're going to reveal our mid-major top 25. We've already posted it on social media, but if you're just listening to the pod and haven't seen it yet, we'll go through each one and we'll just say a couple nuggets about each team. So Dallas Baptist, number 1. Dimitri, take it away. Why Dallas Baptist, number 1?
Yeah, like you said, I'm not going to sit here and read the paragraph for every team. That's just a bore fest. If you're trying to fall asleep, we can do that. Just let us know. But Dallas Baptist, they returned the top half of their lineup, and we all saw how good that team was. I think it was in the Round Rock tournament was with whatever tournament it was where they played Alabama. That they looked unbelievable in that tournament. And
Frisco, maybe?
Frisco, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grant J, probably one of the better hitters in the country. Tom Poole, Chaden Crowd. They just have a lot of bats in the top 5. I just think they lose Ryan Johnson. Dude was electric last year, but they have preseason pitcher of the year in the Conference USA, Jared Jenkins, and then they've got a guy named James Ellwanger, who is probably up to 96, 97, similar build to Ryan Johnson, just not as funky. I think there's no reason to doubt this team. So yeah, Conference USA, slam dunk favorite, and they should be in the running to host the regional this year.
Yeah, they're just a factory at Dallas Baptist, and they all look the same. You know what I mean? Like all their players look the same. But
hey, Andy Pettis' son, freshman All-American last year, back this year. So, Jack, this is prime time for you to learn about all these teams.
Feed me.
All right.
Feed me more.
So the next topic we're going to talk about is deciding on who number 2 was, because it came down to Santa Barbara, Troy, and UC Irvine. That was kind of our top 4 group that we had. And we ultimately gave Dallas Baptist number 1 because there was just more consistency across the board. But we went with UC Irvine number 2, Troy number 3, and Santa Barbara 4, which is a little different than like what D1 Baseball and Baseball America had. It seemed like every other college baseball site out there has Santa Barbara either number 1 or number 2 for best mid-major. So, Dimitri, why Santa Barbara 4 and UC Irvine 2? They play in the same conference, so
it just came down to Irvine had an unbelievable pitching staff, just like Santa Barbara. Both of them have unbelievable pitching staff. It just came down to offense, and I think Irvine had a better lineup 1 through 9 with Santa Barbara. They don't have that much experience coming back and no star power. You know, like I feel like when we're looking at these top 5 teams, you need some star power, at least like 1 or 2 guys in your 3-4 hole. So Irvine's got Anthony Martinez. He's probably the number 1 first baseman in the country, if not top 3. They've got a whole rotation ready to go. They just have everything they need. If they score 5 or 6 runs a game, I wrote it down, they're going to win 40 plus games easy. And I think Santa Barbara just needs to figure out their offensive identity really quickly, because there's a couple other teams in the Big West that are going to be pretty good this year. So I think Santa Barbara just needs to figure out their line of how they're going to manufacture runs, and they'll be really good. But I just think Irvine, as of today, is the better team.
Right. All right. Now, Jack, take away Troy at number 3. I know you're close with the Troy team and the staff. What do you like about Troy this year, and why do you think they're going to be, I don't know, one of the better teams in the country?
I'd like to say, first off, if you're listening on YouTube, make sure you go read this. Dimitri, I didn't know you were this good of a writer. You kind of got me like, I'm blushing a little bit. You're very attractive to me right now. No, man, this Troy team is really fun. I read the D1 write-up. The freshman class that they brought in is really, really stupid. A lot of attention, and rightfully so, being paid to, in my opinion, probably a top 2 catcher in the draft class. I think you could flip a coin on what day of the week it is between Caden Bodine and at Coastal and Brooks Bryan at Troy. Brooks Bryan, who had a massive breakout summer with Team USA last year, played in the Cape. He's a kid that not only does he look like he can like wear a lot of the attention in the heart of that lineup, but he's going to be willing and ready to do so. Pair that with his ability to catch a really good staff with the likes of a guy like AJ Dill, who was a transfer from a P4 school in the ACC, where like they get a lot back on the mound. A guy like Luke Lyon, who was their Friday night guy, who just shoved and was so dang consistent. How they were able to retain a lot of these guys too, like a Garrett Gaines, who I saw in Conway last year as well. The list of names goes on, but they've got a really healthy group of returners with a really talented freshman class, where, yes, expectations are high, but there should be. And I think this is a team that's not going to wither away from a lot of the spotlight but they'll revel in it.
I really hope Shane Lewis returns back to 2023 form. That guy was so good 2 years ago, and the pressure got to him, and I'm sure he just overthought everything because he has so much expectation, so much weight on his shoulders last year to carry a high expectation team, and he has such high expectations for himself and all the writers and MLB draft. It just got to him, and he's a young 20-year-old kid. It just broke him down. And for him to get another opportunity at Troy and not, take the money and just go to the draft and move on, I think he's really going to rebound, because now he knows he was at the bottom, guys. He felt he was at the bottom. He was hitting 100. He was hitting 150 last year. He was taken out of the lineup. The guy hit rock bottom. And I think if he just understands and focus that I've already been at the worst, it can't get any worse than that. I think this team's going to be really good, because that guy is just an extra bonus that's not supposed to be here anymore.
Yeah, he's one of the names that I'm going to draft next week in our Golden Spikes draft. I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to pick him. It would just be a great
Really
storyline,
rooting for him.
and it would be so good for college baseball because the amount of lessons that he could teach coming back, like it's a good story. So, anyways, look, I like Troy too. I think Troy, as well as like 4 or 5 other teams in the Sun Belt, could host a regional. And anytime you host a regional and you don't get sent to Vanderbilt or Tennessee or wherever for a regional, it just helps your chances that much more. So 5 through 10, I really like 5 through 10. And I think these teams are dangerous. And I think that they're playing for something more than just their school. Like I think they're playing for a lot of pride. So it goes College of Charleston 5, UNCW 6, San Diego 7. Dimitri, scroll down. And I know Southern Miss is 8. And then Stetson is at 9. And then we have, I forget who's at 10, East Carolina. That's right. So this is where we get a lot of comments on social media, like 5 through 10. And it sucks that we had to put a number next to all these teams' names because that's the way a ranking works. But I really think all 6 of these teams, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I counted on my fingers.
Attaboy!
Those 6 teams are as dangerous as they come. And look, it would not surprise me one bit if any of these 6 make it to Omaha. And I'm saying that genuinely. Charleston, or we know College of Charleston. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder that Jack can talk about here in a second. UNCW, never been to a super regional, right? A team that has been so good throughout 2000s and even before that have never made that trip to a super regional, and they've been close a few times. Well, they're returning one of the better teams in the country, and like they're getting after it this year. San Diego, they're still knocking on the door. They feel like the best West Coast team that has never made a super regional. Southern Miss, we know they're as consistent as can be. They have some question marks, but again, they're kind of like Dallas Baptist. They just have clones every single year that fit the exact pieces that they're missing from the previous year. And then Stetson, Dimitri and myself are as high as can be on Stetson. We think that not only did they have 10 plus guys play in the Cape Cod this year, they also all played good. And when you have a core of guys that have that experience at the mid-major level, my golly, dude, it's insane what that brings to a clubhouse culture. And then East Carolina, I've never seen them lower than 5 in our mid-major poll in history. We have them at 10 right now, and that's just because they got beat up by the portal. They brought in a ton of new pieces this year. They're all good. As Dimitri put in his write-up, like they're coming from Liberty, Texas A&M, Old Dominion, Oklahoma, Loyola Marymount. Like they're getting good players, but they lose Savage and they lose Root. Like that's your Friday, Saturday. That's worth 15, 20 games alone right there. So if they can
high level guys,
if they can replace those guys, they're going to be just fine, and they're going to probably host another regional. So that's why I like this 5 through 10 range. Is the ceiling is through the roof for all of them. So you guys want to add anything? Sorry, I went on a rant there.
No, it was good.
You just covered them.
It was kind of magical. Yeah, we can roll through. I think East Carolina needed a slice of humble pie. They just been too comfortable 1 through 3. It was too cushy for them. I am saying this. Hear me. I am going to Greenville, North Carolina. I am going to see the jungle firsthand this year. It's a bucket list. I have to go see it in person.
Yeah, I think home field might be sending us out there.
All I was going to say with Charleston, if they just plug those pieces in, like Ben said, they're really good at doing. Holbrook, I think Holbrook doesn't need to do much motivating. This team saw what happened to them last June. They got smacked in the face when everybody expected them to be in the tournament. So
41-14 and 21-5 in conference, and they get left out. That's politics, man.
So anyways, I think Charleston is right where they belong. Obviously, you can make arguments for any of these teams, but UNC Wilmington, just like Adrian Martinez and some of these other mid-major guys that are coming back to school, Tanner Thatch could have gone anywhere he wanted. And he's back there. They've got all kinds of good pieces in core to build around. They've got a really good freshman coming in. So the battle between Charleston and Wilmington should be really fun in the CAA. San Diego, we're high on them again. We were high on them last year. I think they're the only team in the country with 4 true two-way guys. Austin Smith could be a favorite for the Golden Spikes this year. They just have pitching issues. If they can figure out how to replace the pitching and plug in play, I think this team can be really good. They've got TCU at home, at Arizona, at Oregon State the first month and a half of the season. So honestly, by the second week of March, we'll know how good this team is. Southern Miss, you nailed it on the head. I mean, they're gonna pitch. Let's just see how good they can hit. If they can hit, they're gonna be a top 5 team. They're gonna host the regional. Really simple. It's not a disrespect thing. It's just as of today, they are really unproven at the plate. And then Stetson, dude, I can't get over how high I am on Stetson. I mean, this team is going to be so good. They return everybody. I mean, just imagine if they could keep Kyle Jones from going to Florida. This team, I think, would be top 3, maybe top 5. They've got 2 really good arms. They've got that lefty. You remember Jonathan Gonzalez, Ben?
Oh, yeah.
He was really good for them 2-3 years ago, and he was out Tommy John last year, so he's back. They've got a closer. So, I mean, they've got everything you need. They play defense. They're going to be able to hit, and they're going to be able to pitch. So, I mean, what else? What more could you want? East Carolina, I mean, it's just a turnover thing. It's just like if those guys hit, those 31 guys, if they're good, they're going to be really good. If they're not very good, they're not going to be very good. It's really simple.
Yeah. I like to group it like this. Our top 10 mid-major teams, we expect to be in the hosting contention when it comes to May. We want to look back in May and be like, okay, we were right on these 10 teams. They were all in the hosting picture. Obviously, they all can't host. But, hosting picture, super regional caliber teams, and then 11 through probably 15 to 16 here that we're about to go over. These are teams that are like probably like, I don't know how to describe, like definitely worthy of winning their conference, like easily. Like they could go in and win the regular season in the conference, and then possible host, but more likely just dangerous as hell in the regional. Like that's the way I put it. Just a dangerous team that you do not want to see pop up in your regional. We start with Missouri State at 11, Louisiana Lafayette at 12, Western Kentucky at 13. We'll go over these 3 first, and then we'll move to the next 3. But look, Missouri State, we mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the Missouri Valley. This team returns everybody, and they can hit. And I see their record from last year, 23-34. They weren't great. They had to deal with a lot of injuries, and the guys that they had on the team last year were very unproven. But when you return that much and like guys that went off and played really good in the summer, that's a formula for success in the regular season. So, look, I think Missouri State is going to be the cream of the crop in the Missouri Valley, and that's a conference that plays very well when it comes to the postseason. So we stuck Missouri State there at 11. Louisiana, we loved them. We still love them. Best uniforms in the country, like best group of uniforms in the country. They lose a first rounder at shortstop. Like Kyle DeBarge is going to be a big loss. Now, can they replace him? Heck yeah, they can. Matt Deggs does one of the best jobs in the country, including Power 4 coaches, at getting the guys that he wants and building them into just winner mindset. We're going to win games. I don't care if it's pretty. I don't care if you do it your way or my way or the highway. Like, we're going to win games, and that's all that matters. So we had them at 12. We got a little bit of slack from Raging Cajun fans thinking that 12 wasn't good. But look, you have a couple good weekends, you'll be in the top 8 before March. Like, just go prove that you can win with the new guys, and you'll be fine. So, and then Western Kentucky, I'll let Dimitri talk about Western Kentucky because I know he's pretty high on them.
Good team. Western Kentucky. I mean, I wrote it down. I'll just kind of skim off of what I wrote, but 36 win season, and they're an interesting team. They took their head coach from Iowa Western, I think, big time legend, 20-year coach at Iowa Western, pretty known JUCO, right?
Yeah,
Everyone knows
ASUN.
Iowa Western. They pump out talent, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he basically just took his blueprint, his strategy there, and brought it to Western Kentucky, because I would say Western Kentucky probably has a better facility, but overall they're a team that doesn't have a lot of attention, not a whole lot of support in the Midwest. Well, Kentucky's not really Midwest, but just that small town vibe. You're just not getting a whole lot of support and stuff. And he brought his blueprint there and completely revamped that roster. And I mean, to win 36 games in your first or second year there is impressive. So they brought back their whole lineup pretty much. They bring back a lot of their pitching, and they got a couple of JUCO portal transfers to plug in right away that are going to be really good. So I think this team is going to shock a lot of people. I think Western Kentucky is going to be. They're going to be better than Louisiana Tech, obviously, according to these rankings. But I think they could compete with Dallas Baptist, who they took a series from last year.
Yeah. I think I tweeted out yesterday. I said Western Kentucky is a legitimate super regional threat. I like their pieces, dude. I was researching who they brought in, and the JUCO guys they brought in were studs. And if this was 2008, they would be playing for Auburn and Florida and LSU. But just because of the way the transfer portal is, those guys kind of fell down to the Conference USA.
Here's the nugget I was thinking about when I was looking at their portal JUCO. They've got a legend from the JUCO ranks. He knows he can look at a JUCO player and be like, he can envision. I'm sure he's really good at knowing which guys can their talent transfer or play out at the next level, at the Division I level. He's probably already seen it for so long, which of his players were really good at D1, which ones weren't. So he's already got that vision, and for him to handpick the JUCO rank, which guys you want, means they're probably going to play. Their talent is going to transfer and play at the next level really well. So I would not sleep on this team.
Yep. All right. So 14 through 16, we have Coastal Carolina at 14. Very, very low, considering we always have Coastal at like 1 through 8 at least. We'll explain why we have them at 14 here. But then Tulane and UConn, two teams that have been in the postseason the last 2 years, or the regionals, and then UConn, super regional team last year. Jack, what do you know about Coastal this year?
I think because a lot like what you talked about with La Tech, because there's just so much unknown of what this team looks like without Gary Gilmore. After reading Dimitri's write-up, I think there are some question marks offensively because you lose a lot of thump in the middle of that lineup. But I think what they're really excited about is some budding superstars on the mound. You get a guy like Andrew Bowers, who was a freshman last year, who kind of dabbled in like some setup stuff and was a mid-relief guy. When you get some of those youngsters like that, get that first year under their belt, he was a borderline draft guy coming out of high school. They've got a flurry of dudes just like him where you expect them to make the next jump, not as an upperclassman, but as a young sophomore who you'll see on the weekends. He's a fastball 94 to 96. You're going to see, I think, that staff significantly better than a year ago. Whereas last year they were a little top heavy because you saw their veterans succeed, but those youngsters, when they get into conference play, get banged around a little bit and never really lose sight of the greater goal, which is to win in the tournament, which we saw them very competitive in that Clemson regional, which I think says a lot about this group. I think Coach Null was not the right guy for the job. I think he was the only guy for the job.
Yep.
So I think they're going to be just fine. They're going to be right there in the hunt. I think they're a top 3 team in the SunBelt. And I think they're going to be a lot better on the mound. I know there's some question marks offensively, but I think because they're better on the mound, this makes them a very competitive team yet again.
I love it. Yeah, look, Dimitri and myself, we're not used to ranking Coastal 14th in the mid-major poll. And this could change very quickly. If we can, number one, Coastal goes out in their what's it called? Battle of the Beach tournament that they always put on. Yeah, if they go out and just beat teams 12-1 or even 12-6 back to back, there's some good teams in that tournament. They could be number 5 by next week. Like that's how quick.
Well, they always bring in loaded lineups in the Battle of the Beach, but you'll really learn a lot about them in the next week when they've got Bama, Ohio State, and NC State all down in Jacksonville. Like you're going to be thrown into the fire early, which is the best thing imaginable you can do to a team that has to play a SunBelt conference.
Yeah, so we'll know real soon.
Here's the thing: it's really simple for me with Coastal. They're gonna hit. Are they going to be as good hitting as they haven't been in years past? Probably not. But It's the pitching. I just can't put my full-fledged faith in their pitching staff until I see it. It's really that simple. That's why they're at 14, because they could easily just be a middle of the pack mid-major team, which is about 14 to 18, whatever. But if their pitching shows up, that's going to be a top 5 team really quickly. So that's why they're there, because we just need to see their pitching actually do it, because they've been awful the last couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. And so moving away from Coastal, we have Tulane, who's at 15 here. When Dimitri and I were talking off air, we were like, dude, they could be in the top 5 pretty soon. Like another team that, look, I know what were they, 9? Maybe they went in like 9-41 or something 2 years ago.
19-42 or something.
19-42, and they make the regional, and they have to face Paul Skeen's first game of the regional. But last year, they bounced back 36-26, very respectable in the conference. They win the conference tournament. They're back. They get sent out west to Oregon State for the regional. This is year 3 now for Jay Ullman, and he is building and has probably already just built a culture that is, hey, guys, I don't care what we look like in February. You earn your spots in February and March, and then when April rolls around, like, we're going to turn it on, and we're going to play for the postseason. And I think people are buying into that. Like, when I say people, players, because what he did out of the portal this year was incredible, and the guys that he got to stay on campus and not enter the portal was incredible. They're building something great out there in Tulane right now, and they're at 15, right? A respectable place. There's 240 teams that qualify for the mid-major poll. 15th, not bad. But if they start out hot and the culture comes together, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be real dangerous this year. So that's what I'll say about Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, they lost 2 really good players, but they literally returned everybody else and made some good portal ads. So, I mean, there is no reason why this team should be doubted. I think if I'm going to be a pick, I'm probably going to foreshadow my pick, but I think Tulane wins the American Athletic regular season this year. They're just everything across the board. Check. They've got everything. They've got a closer. They've got a lineup. They've got starting pitching. They've got experience. They've got everything. Check everything. So, I mean, it's really simple for me with Tulane. Just like Stetson, those 2 teams I could see playing their way into hosting a regional if everything goes perfect, no injury, and they get a little bit lucky, ball bouncing inside the line or whatever.
Yeah. So we'll move to UConn here. Dimitri, I know you wrote it in here. It's a little small, but okay, here we go. I think this might be the oldest weekend rotation in the country. UConn has 2 seniors and a 4th-year junior throwing the ball Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As a position player, you feel great about that because you know every single day you go to the ballpark on a weekend, your guys are going to throw strikes and they're going to compete. That, as a defense and as an offensive player, you're like, heck yeah, let's go. We're not going to be on our feet for 4 hours waiting for our pitching change after pitching change. Like, no, we got some dudes out there. UConn has also just built a brand of, hey, I know we're in the Northeast, but we invest in baseball. We get good talent, and we're gonna challenge the hell out of ourselves in February when we're on a road trip for 21 days from Florida over to California, over to Arizona. We're going to challenge the hell out of ourselves, and then we're going to win the conference tournament. We're going to go to a regional, and we're going to compete our ass off in a regional. And it's just the formula that they've done probably since 2019 or 2018. Just a really good baseball team, good baseball program at UConn.
I'm excited about this team because I was the first one to put my hand up to our good friend Adam Donovan over at Dog Pile Season Golf. When they got to that Super, I didn't know anything about him. I was like, and why? Because like George Springer was the only thing that could come to mind because every year they just find a way to get to this stage of the season. But they've got the preseason pitcher of the year in Ian Cook, who was fantastic in that Tallahassee Super last year. I think he was like a 3rd baseman. That's the preseason player of the year. He's a junior. Maddox Delana, I think, is the preseason player of the year in the entire conference. He's got super crazy pop. I remember, like, I think his freshman year, he hit like 240. Last year, he hit 270, but with some crazy juice. Like, he just keeps getting better and better year in and year out. Yeah, I know I personally need to show more love to the Huskies because almost like we joke about UVA, where it was just like a walking Omaha ticket. This Husky team has been a walking super ticket for the last half decade.
Yeah. And it's funny. You look at their record from last year, 35-26. If they wanted to and they wanted to play like, Northeast schools the whole year, they would be 48-12. Like, but they go and challenge themselves in the non-conference, and their RPI always reflects that too. So now we have Northeastern at 17, SEMO at 18, and then 19. I know. Oh, Wichita State, and I'm excited to talk about Wichita State here in a second. But Northeastern, incredible talent last year, right? Mike Sirota, preseason All-World, has a good year, but not a great year for him. Cam Maldonado, freshman year was unbelievable. Last year took a step back, but they return a lot from that offense. And if Cam Maldonado can be that five-tool player that he was his freshman year, like this team could take off in a heartbeat too. They what do they return on the mound? They lost 26 starts in about 150 innings, but that's not bad, right? Like
And
only
it
26.
wasn't the most productive high
Yeah,
level innings and talent, so they should be
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Like losing 150 innings, but maybe the pitchers weren't great. Like it's fine to replace those 150 innings. That's not bad. But
They
look,
also
they're playing the
lost
CAA. Do what?
preseason player of the year, not even including Cam Maldonado. They have a preseason player of the year in Alex Lane.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
best first basemen in the country.
Yeah, he rakes. In fact, I saw a video of him
It's
today. I
late.
think I liked it on the 11.7 account.
Wait, hold on. Did Tanner Thatch get preseason player of the year or Alex Lane?
Thatch did.
Thatch, that's what I thought. Alex
Yeah.
Lane is a very close second.
Yeah. But anyways, the CAA very top heavy. I think it's comfortably Northeastern is probably comfortably the third team picked by most people in that conference. But look, they've been there before. Mike Glavin, he knows what he's doing. Jack got to sit down with him last year and interview him. He's got a plan, and he's successful every single year. So, like, would it surprise me if I see them in a regional final? It's 5 months from now. No, not at all. Like, these guys are talented.
I have two things on them, and I'll keep it quick. Dimitri, you hit the nail on the head. Avon Cabral, who is not only like the CAA Freshman of the Year 2 years ago when they were number 2 in the country in ERA, he had a little bit of a sophomore slump. He has to be the catalyst for that rotation to be like, on Friday night, give me the ball. I'm a dog. I'm going to go get us a win. Right. Like, and I think he is that guy. He has been that guy. Last year was Wyatt Scotty for him. I think he can turn into that bona fide just winner on the mound. And then secondly, if you're a college baseball fan and you're not following them, their content and their SID do such incredible work. Like their schedule release playing off of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like this is a college baseball team that has leaned into humor. And if you're not following them, you should be.
I love it. All right, D, I'll give you the floor here. SEMO. Tell the world why SEMO is going to be incredible again and why they fell at 18 in our – I had to talk to Dimitri. He wanted to put SEMO number 1. I said, whoa. Let's drop him to like 18. How's that sound?
The granddaddy, the father, the daddy of the OVC, and your stupid little love fest for Morehead State. SEMO runs the OVC, and until further notice, they will not take their foot off the gas in this conference. SEMO returned all 3 guys in their weekend rotation. 47 starts are coming back. It's only going to get better, right? It's only going to get better. They lose the bullpen. That's the biggest issue, and that's why they're not higher. Bullpen is so important in college baseball, so they just need to figure out how to get their bullpen. But my thought process is you're having all this experience come back. They're only going to get better. Maybe they can eat a little more innings at the back end of the game. Instead of coming out in the 5th, 6th inning, maybe they can get the ball into the 7th, 8th, and give it to their relievers, and they don't have to eat as many innings. They return their whole lineup. Their whole offense comes back. They've got a really good team. I think this is a exciting year for Southeast Missouri, and I'm really excited about them. I've always loved them.
I love it. Like, it's good to see an OVC team in the top 20. It's good. And they are good. They are the daddy of the OVC. It is what it is. Anyways,
guys,
what?
this team went to a regional final last year, and it was a rebuilding year for them. They were grinding and battling and fighting all year long. They lost that series to Morehead State, but I did not lose faith. I never lost faith in this team.
Dude, I almost had to get a SEMO tattoo when we were all watching that regional together. I was like, dude, they're a win away for me really having to eat a bar of soap. You're all over him. Kudos to you.
Yep. All right, let me bring you to team number 19, Wichita State, the Shockers. Let's rewind 18 months ago when their whole roster entered the transfer portal before they brought in Coach Brian Green. And I hope that's his name. That's what I think his name is, right? Brian Green?
I think that sounds right.
Anyways, 30-plus guys entered the portal after the 2023 season, and they had a good season too. Like, it wasn't a terrible year. And I just remember the question marks that the whole world had about them last year. Like, how do you bring in 36 new guys and like expect to compete? Well, they played well. They played above 500. All JUCO guys, it felt like. 32 and 29. Well, guess what? They lose 2 of their hitters, but they return everybody else this year, and they were all productive. Look, I have big hopes for Wichita State. I think they're a sleeper to win the American. And look, like, it's a team that's gritty as hell. Who was Peyton Tolley? Remember Peyton Tolley?
Yeah. Oh.
TCU last year, but two-way phenom at Wichita State. They got a bunch of guys that kind of look like him, just big, beefy dudes that are athletic. I'm excited about Wichita State. I think that they could be just an exciting team to follow. I'll put it at that right now. I'll let them earn more. I'll let them earn a better
You know what's so cool about this team? All the new coaching staff came in, bunch of guys left. Fast forward a year now into this season. 2 of their best arms decided to come back to Wichita. Grant Adler and Jace Miner left. They went to Kansas and Oklahoma. Struggled there. One of them got hurt. The other one just didn't play much. They're coming back. One of them was, dude, he had a 2 ERA. Adler, yeah. He was the newcomer of the year out of JUCO in 2023. Leaves for a year, comes back. This team is loaded, guys. This team is really good. So I'm excited for them. And Owen Washburn, really good player from Texas Tech, comes in to just bolster that lineup. So there's nothing on paper. There's nothing that this team can't do.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's move to 20, Hawaii. I know, Dimitri, this was one of the teams that you liked a lot. Tell us about the Hawaii Warriors.
I don't really have a lot to say about Hawaii. They kind of got gutted a little bit by the portal. They lost some really good players. But what catches my eye, they had the Cape Cod pitcher of the year, who's probably going to be starting for them on Friday night, Isuki Takemoto. What a cool name.
You said that good.
You said that real good.
You said that really well.
Isuki Takemoto. Anyway, yeah, they have a good team. I think this team, we put them at 20 because I think their ceiling can be pretty high, but they could also just have another Hawaii year where they just struggle and kick rocks halfway through the year, pick it back up. But I think this team is going to be exciting to watch in the Big West tournament because I think they're going to be really good at the end of the year. So I think this spot is good for them. They deserve a spot in this range, but I just don't know how good or bad they can be.
This is the year. We get the regional host this year. I can feel it in my loins. Shout out to pitching coach. It's coming.
I want that more than anything in the world, to have the NCAA scramble and be like, dang, we got
this is the year.
We're going to Hawaii.
You're doing it. I'm telling you, there is it feels like a lot of buzz, and I think I know I follow him. I think you guys do too. Shout out pitching coach Keith Saniga down there, who is like doing a great job of helping spread their brand, because obviously it's difficult to do if you're playing your games at midnight in the college baseball world. He's done a great job. I also saw D1 Baseball do a cool write-up on this team. Only 4 full-time returners to their offense, but all 4 in the infield, which I think is really kind of fun, where like you got a really like veteran group in the infield that's going to play great defensively and anchor your offense. So I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. I really, really, really want them to make a run at this thing.
Yeah, and look, we know that the first Club Bromaha that happens, we're going to be staying up. Hawaii after dark, push the button, let's go. It's the best.
Yuki Takemoto first part of the year.
Oh, only if you say that again.
Yuki Takemoto.
Oh.
All right, we got 5 teams left, and then we'll pack it up for the night. So 21 through 25, I like to group these teams as good on paper. Actually, I don't want to group them all together because they are a little different. But like James Madison, for example, electric in that I just forgot the town that Raleigh. There we go. NC State, Raleigh. The regional last year, they had 2 draft picks pretty high. They lose Mancini to Vanderbilt, but besides that, like they're returning a good chunk of their production from last year. It's a team that, Coach Eikenberry does an amazing job recruiting kids, mostly in state, in Virginia, guys that maybe are overlooked out of high school, developing them. Like they develop players really well and kind of throw those talented freshmen out there to grow. And like I think they're going to be competitive in the SunBelt, and I think that we might look around in May and be like, wow, they're 2 games out of first place in the SunBelt. It's just one of those teams. They're investing a lot into the sport of baseball at James Madison. And look, I'm looking forward to watching them this year and covering them.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move to 22, Illinois State. What do we like about Illinois State, Dimitri? You kind of hinted at it earlier.
They just are one of those teams that return a lot of guys again. And we know how that plays in mid-major. When you have a lot of experience and you have a bench that can plug and play and you're kind of prepared for the injuries or for whatever may happen in the dog days of the season, I think this team did a really good job of returning guys and fixing their pitching issues. So they just got to throw strikes on the mound, and they're going to be really good. I mean, they've returned probably 90% of their pitching staff innings-wise, and they just have slowly been improving every year, and I don't see why they don't continue to improve on their 30-win season last year. Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn, you can read the write-up, but yeah, pretty much they just did a good job addressing their issues from last year and returning a lot of experience. Pretty simple.
Yeah. Good uniform team, too. Love their uniforms. Good crop. All right, so 23, Xavier. We talked about Xavier last week a good bit just because of their non-conference schedule. Like, look, they're going to be good. They're going to have talented guys. It just feels like they're a step below UConn when it comes to the national notoriety and winning games. But look, we mentioned it last week. If they go 6-12 their first 18 games, their RPI is going to be like 31. And they're going to set themselves up for a potential at-large bid. And they're returning 5 of their top 7 hitters. So that's a big plus.
Yo, I'm a big fan of this Isaac Watchman guy. Big fan of him. Like, people should go check him out. He's got the frame. Like, he reminds me of like a Kyle Lewis frame, but a little thicker. Like, a little bit stronger. 6'4", 220. He only played 28 games last year. I couldn't figure out why. 10 homers and 94 AB. I mean, that's a 25. That's a 25+ homer season if he played a full season. That's just their pitching. They lost everybody. So I just have faith that Xavier will figure out their pitching. But I think this could be a good team to compete with UConn. They're going to hit really well.
Yeah. All right, 24, Georgia Southern. Dimitri, you got to explain this one. We kind of talked about it, but they lost a lot in the portal, but they brought guys in from the portal from like Georgia Tech and who were Alabama, Liberty, Louisville, South Carolina. Like they brought in 10+ dudes from the SEC. So it's going to be either a hit or a miss. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, it's just one of those things, like we said earlier, either they're really good or they're really bad. It's very simple, but we had to put them in here because they can be really, really good. I think they're just going to be a really good team in May. I don't think they're going to scare many people in February and March if they figure it out, plug their lineup together. Rodney Hendon's just going to have 10 different lineups the first 10 games, and then they'll go from there. So, but I think this team can be really good. I think this is going to be a team that could win the SunBelt tournament.
They were close last year.
Yeah. I mean, dude, they were 3 outs away.
Yeah. All right, last team, Grand Canyon. We spent a good amount of time with Grand Canyon's coaching staff at ABCA. Great guys, cool people. And look, when it comes to baseball, they've had a first rounder in the last 2 years. They have my favorite player in college baseball, Zach York. And look, they're returning a bunch on the mound, and they're just a fun team. Like, they kind of play a little bit of small ball, and I wouldn't call them Wofford-esque, but they like to not rely on the long ball, and they throw strikes on the mound. That's a recipe for success.
Yeah, you said it pretty well about Grand Canyon.
People should know too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I have nothing to say.
All three hanging out with us, all three of us hanging out with them, though. Coach Wallace was awesome. Like, just a head coach that, Ben, you bring it up all the time. Like, head coaches in college baseball are the CEO. He is well equipped to be the CEO of any program in the country. But it may be a gigantic asset getting a college baseball legend in Nathan Bannister involved too on the pitching side, right? Like, already a team with pretty stellar pitching pedigree. You add that guy who was, a little funky and knew how to win in the postseason, and maybe that gets them over the hill. Because I say college baseball legend lightly, but he was a guy that dominated on the largest of scales. So hopefully get out that way. Because I don't know, I haven't really. I feel like I don't start paying attention to Grand Canyon until it's too late when you see them in conference tourney time or in a regional.
Yeah, they have a big one opening night. I think
MLB Network.
MLB Network against Vanderbilt opening night.
They do that every year. They did it with Tennessee 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They always have that big spotlight game.
And one more thing about Grand Canyon. For all of the people that gave me so much crap about calling Jacob Wilson the most MLB ready guy in that whole draft with Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz and that whole draft class, they made me feel like an idiot, and I was not that far off. Like, he got called up and was super successful right away in the major leagues before he got hurt. So, look, I know he's not Paul Skeens. I know he's not Dylan Cruz, but, relax. He was MLB ready.
I've got one. If you're on the Wilson train, and then Dimitri, I know that we're going to start pushing the heck out of that 11-7 merch that you freaking sexily draw up. Can we start making some Zach York gear? I mean, because this should be college baseball's darling. I don't know if this is an NIL.
Hey, the reason I had something to say, if people are still listening to us an hour and 37 in, they're gonna love this treat. Rewind to James Madison, and because we just talked about Georgia Southern, James Madison. There is a single transfer. He transferred from Georgia Southern. Ben is figuring out who I'm talking about. Transfer to James Madison. He is the biggest 5 o'clock hitter I've ever seen in my 20-ish years of loving college baseball. I'm about to show you a YouTube video of this guy. In a game he can't hit. He just can't hit.
Copyright strike.
No YouTube. We're growing the YouTube. We don't need to show it.
Excuse me. It's the Baseball Bat Bros. They did a video with him. Just type in Georgia Southern Baseball Bat Bros, and he's there.
Yep.
I can't share it?
No. We'll get copyright striked.
If I share another YouTube video?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, remember we got in trouble in Brown last year?
Yeah.
No trouble this year.
Well, it's not like we monetize anyways, but still, I don't want to get on YouTube's bad
Oh,
side.
I didn't know we could. I thought we could easily watch a YouTube video.
Mm-mm.
Maybe. I don't think so. I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, yes, you can. Yes, you can. On Club Omaha, we were, whatever. Someone is knocking on my door, so hold on.
Oh, boy. Well, Jack, do you have any? Yeah, do you have any final thoughts about today? I'm running out of gas. It's past midnight here now.
Me too. I'm gassed. I'm impressed. What you guys do putting these top 25s together is nothing short of remarkable. Y'all's baseball brains throw me in a tizzy. I'm impressed, man. And Dimitri, well done on the writing skills. That's really what stood out to me today.
He's a great writer. He's the
great
best.
writer. And go Cubs.
anyways, let's end it there, and we'll be back. We got like 4 episodes left before the season starts, which is exciting, and we got some more fun things planned for you, including we have another sponsor that we landed that you guys will like. So we'll release that probably next week or maybe the week after. Not sure. But anyways, y'all take care. Enjoy college baseball preseason stuff because the season is 11 days away. 10 days, 10 or 11 days away. So anyways, y'all have fun. See everybody.